Welcome back to Inside Sports, presented by Parkway Motors. Well, according to the CDC, strokes are the 5th leading cause of death in the United States, and nearly 800,000 people suffer from a stroke each year. They can cause impaired cognitive skills, motor function, speech skills, and even paralysis. The National Stroke Association estimates that 10% of people who have a stroke make a full recovery, while 25% have minor complications, and another 50% end up needing special care for moderate to severe problems. For many, recovery is a lengthy process. But for one man training at Big John McCarthy's Ultimate Training Academy here in Santa Clarita, he is defying the odds on the mat.
I was 39 at the time in San Diego. I lived on the beach with 2 beautiful girls, married, and life was great. I had 2 big companies and decided to get in the best shape of my life.
On the top of Deer Valley, behind me is my dad.
Let go. Oh! There you go.
San Diego was amazing. I mean, my boardroom was my front yard of my house because I lived on the beach. So I brought all my team over, my employees, my clients to my house. Everybody was welcome. I lived in a community where there were Navy SEALs and just everybody was a community. And the mornings were my yoga time. I went to work, and then we came home. I took the kids back and forth to school, and at night I used to roll, and we'd go there and just train. You know, moderately. I think I got my blue belt, which is a decent belt. You know, I moved my way up, and then we'd go over some techniques, some submissions. Got choked out a couple times actually, but one I remember that was really hard on me. I went home that night, and then I felt the excruciating pain, a pain I'd never felt before. I went home on that night, and my gland was really swollen, and I thought I had a swollen gland. I actually called my doctor to get the medication, and that didn't work. I didn't know what was happening was the carotid artery was so badly severed, it kept sending clots up to my brain. So for 6 weeks before my actual stroke, my left arm went weak. I got dizzy, and I was actually stroking. I was actually in San Jose at Dan Henderson's fight, ringside, and feeling the symptoms of a stroke 5 days before it actually happened. They call me a miracle because the moment I had my stroke, I was in San Luis Obispo. They thought I was hungover and drunk. I thought I was hungover because we were drinking the day before Thanksgiving, had too much wine, and they were ready to throw me back in my room. I woke up and the room was spinning. My wife at the time called my dad. My face dropped, couldn't lift my arm, and the world just kind of stopped. And my dad said, call the paramedics. I think my son's having a stroke. I didn't know what a stroke was. They medevaced me in Santa Barbara, where they actually had the neurosurgeon on Black Friday in the hospital waiting for me. Literally anywhere else in the world I would have been dead. And he operated on me at that moment, saved my life. But the problem was there was so much lack of oxygen in the blood of the brain that I was dying. And they had to move rapidly to save me.
The doctor who treated Sean used a non-FDA approved device to remove a baseball-sized clot out of his carotid artery. In addition, they had to remove a part of his skull to help him with the swelling in his brain and put him in a 10-day coma in order to keep him alive. When we return to Inside Sports, Sean awakes in the hospital and gets the horrific news, but a chance meeting from months back while in Chicago would change his life in ways he couldn't even imagine. Welcome back to Inside Sports, presented by Parkway Motors. Before the break, we started Sean Entin's journey through a debilitating stroke that left him in the hospital for a little over 2 months, near paralyzed and unable to do much on his own. But a chance meeting with a mixed martial arts coach while in Chicago would have a profound impact on his recovery process.
I've been doing martial arts for most of my life. I've been coaching professional fighters for a little over 15 years now. Started off in Detroit, Michigan, and the talent pool was a little bit smaller out there, so I came out to the mecca of mixed martial arts, which is Southern California, and started coaching for Team Quest. I actually met Sean. I was cornering Dan Henderson. He was fighting Fedor Emelianenko in Chicago, and we just went out to dinner, and Sean was there and offered me a drink, and probably offered me too many drinks, and ended up hanging out till like 4 in the morning, which probably wasn't a good idea to do before fight night. But we hit it off. You know, I loved his energy, his drive, his passion in life, and we remained friends after that.
I woke up next to looking over at my dad going, oh, where am I? And he said, Sean, you're paralyzed and you're in diapers. And I'm like, there's no way. I'm the best shape of my life. I'm gonna go run a 7-minute mile and go run hills and get back on the mat and do my yoga. And he goes, you can't move. And then the world started all over for me. It ended and started for me.
Actually, I'd been trying to get a hold of him for several weeks and couldn't get a hold of him. I was kind of wondering, and I was like, man, what happened to Sean? And one of his good friends, Bryan Stevens, ended up calling me and said, I got to talk to you, let's do lunch. So he met with me and told me about it. And it just didn't seem possible. I mean, he's 39 years old, you know, he's in a situation where, you know, he's on top of the world, you know, beautiful wife, beautiful daughters, you know, living on a cliff in San Diego in some of the most prestigious real estate in the world, and it didn't seem real.
I didn't want to live. I did not want to be here. I was like, there's someone telling me a joke. It was so much depression, anxiety, and frustration. And sorry, I'm gonna start to cry, but it was like, I had 2 gorgeous girls. I mean, I was top of the world. I was, you know, running 2 big companies and involved in the community, and here I am at 39. It shouldn't be happening to me. And it was horrific. I mean, I started with therapy immediately. But Nat, I was in so many drugs at the time that I couldn't really understand what was actually happening, that it sunk in over time. And me being in the hospital and then, you know, being there and then getting acclimated, I couldn't sit up. I had no balance, I had no midline. I couldn't see out my left eye. My face was a drool. Couldn't hear. Couldn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, the brain started to click and started working again. I had an aha moment where I cannot be like this. I did not want to be a vegetable. I did not want to be inside of a wheelchair, because I refused. I just, you know what? I'm just going to get to work and make this happen. And I knew if I put the time in, I was going to walk again. And I walked out of that hospital.
Sean was told he wouldn't walk for at least 5 years, but after just 8 weeks of rehab, he was able to walk out of the hospital, albeit with a cane, but still he was able to defy the odds. When we come back to Inside Sports, we hear how MMA has started to help Sean's process on recovery, getting his life back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Inside Sports, presented by Parkway Motors. Well, Sean Entin was on top of the world, living in San Diego and training in MMA before suffering from a stroke that left him nearly paralyzed and altered the course of his life. But through training at Big John McCarthy's with one of the premier mixed martial arts coaches in the United States, Sean has seen his recovery process take huge strides forward as he continues to get his life back.
It was a bit of a surprise, because you know, got this guy that's you know, bigger than life, and then you know, he was you know, kind of, you know, he had this disability now and couldn't move, and his face, you know, only one side of it was functioning properly, and you know, he stuttered his words, and it was a big shock initially. So we didn't know whether he'd come out of that, and it just showed after time there was tons of progress.
A good friend of mine who's a fight coach said to me, I fought with God and won. He said, out of all the fighters he's ever trained, he said, I fought the hardest fight of my life. I fought with God, and he let me come back and be here, and so I just did it. And there was no other way to do this. I had to go forward and make it happen.
We started working together quite a bit since I moved up to Valencia, and he's finally getting back on the mats and lifting weights and whatnot now.
To have him as a friend and to know what he is, he's a tactician. I mean, he understands the body. He understands the mechanics of kinesthesiology, how the brain works. So when he's working out with me, he's not just going through the ritual routine, he's actually connecting my right side of my brain with the left side of my body. And he understands where things go, the neuroplasticity, the neural pathways. He blows me away. I'm like, he knows as much as my physical therapists do.
But each individual has different challenges, and Sean's has been a challenge, there's no question about it, but he's keeps such a positive attitude, and he's works really hard. So he's easy to work with, and we're limited in some areas, but like I said, he makes up for that with his dedication and drive.
While Sean's recovery is still ongoing, he has managed to find time to turn a negative into a huge positive for others suffering from similar tragedies. When Inside Sports returns, we hear about the Move to Improve Foundation, designed to help those suffering from traumatic brain injury. Welcome back to Inside Sports, presented by Parkway Motors. In the United States, 5.3 million people currently live with disabilities resulting from traumatic brain injury. Sean Entin was in the hospital when he noticed a need not being met by insurance companies or the government, so he decided to take action.
I mean, my whole thing now is coming back here. I'm alive now. I'm like, something's been turned on with me. There's a fire now. In the hospital, I met veterans in the military who weren't getting their proper care, and they were going home early. So I decided at the time, I was like, here I have money and health insurance. I'm getting the therapy needed to reboot my brain so I could walk again. And these veterans were going home off deployment, going home within moments, not being able to have the proper therapy. And I said, you know what, I gotta make a difference. So in my rehabilitation in San Diego, I chose to start a nonprofit. I had no idea what I was doing, had no clue. I was still relearning everything, but I was like, I gotta make a difference here. Knowing luck of the draw, I was able to build the foundation. The Move to Improve provides financial assistance for those who can't afford therapies, physical therapies and speech therapy and occupational therapy to regain their independence. And we also provide education for those who don't understand a stroke, because most families do not understand what it's like to have a survivor. Because my dad was a doctor. He did not know they didn't know how to take care of me. I went from being a 39-year-old male to being a 3-year-old kid in diapers, like that. I mean, I had 2 daughters. One was 14 months and one was 6 years old. My wife at the time had to take care of 3 children now. So, to provide the education, the assistance, and the awareness for those family members to understand what it's like to deal with a stroke is everything, because I think I actually had it easy. My family had it hard. Anybody who's feeling down, even if you're a survivor of a heart attack, of cancer, if you're disabled, if you can't walk, get up and walk. Start getting the brain moving. Start moving, you're gonna improve if you move. That's my theory. I mean, if you feel down and out, get up and just go. Doesn't matter what you do. You fall, you get back up. I've fallen plenty. I mean, I still fall, I'm still, but that's what I want to tell the world what's possible. I want to be that. I'm going to be that hope. And I don't know where that's going to take me, but I want to be the inspiration for people.
To learn more about Move to Improve or to donate, visit m2i.org. Well, that's all we have for you on this edition of Inside Sports. A special thanks to Sean Entin and Bryan Harper for agreeing to sit down with us, Jim Johnson for originally telling us about Sean's story and allowing us to use Big John's during the interviews, and finally to Haley Cook for the hard work and time put into bringing you Sean's amazing story. For everyone here at SCV TV and Inside Sports, I'm Matt Robinson. See you next time.